is when I met Scott, I met his family. They weren't super excited over who I was. I wanted to date Scott. I didn't want him to be my pastor. I had been wanting to move for years. Well, since the day Scotty and I were married, I wanted out of California.
What was the reason why?
God gave us our children to raise, not to live their life for them. I probably pray more now than I did even when they were little, because that's really my only control that I have.
Thank you for having us again in your lovely home.
Oh, yeah.
So you are, as I said in Scott's video, Scott's better half.
Oh, well, that's a far cry, but okay.
So thank you for taking the time to share your story.
Okay.
So a lot of it's going to parallel Scott's a little bit, but I know yours is much different because one thing that Scott mentioned is that you were ready to leave California well before he was. So I want to hear a little bit about that. But let's talk about where we are. We are currently in.
Yep. So we're in Anderson, South Carolina. We bought 10 acres just before COVID hit, just before the pandemic, and built our lovely home.
Did you have like some pretty big plans?
Yeah,
for the
so
10
we
acres?
wanted to do like a homestead.
What is the homesteading?
So homesteading, so like I wanted to grow, I wanted to be able to grow our own food, raise our own meat, livestock. Our daughter, our youngest, had goats through her school projects. Eventually we'd like to have, maybe some horses. And so that was the idea, but also just to have land, just have open space. That's just something we wanted to be able to walk, just to be able to breathe and spread out,
How did you pick this particular location? I know that it had a little bit to do with Scott's job being close by here, but what made you land on this particular piece of property?
So I've been in real estate, and so as a real estate agent, I looked for land, raw land, wooded land, flat land. I tended to want to go closer to the foothills, with lots of trees. And Scott wanted flat prairie, no trees. The further we went toward the foothills, the further we were from his job at FedEx. And so we were looking at like almost an hour commute one way for him, and it just wasn't feasible. And then the land around here that we could really afford was fully wooded, and we were getting a lesson in like along the way, the more trees you had, the more it cost to excavate. So I was going online and looking in different channels, just trying to find land. And we drove by a sign about maybe 10 miles from here with Will Moore. And we loved the property. I called him. He says, "Oh, I just sold it, but I have another piece of property. Why don't you come by and take a look at it?" And we came by. We fell in love with it. And
No
we made
house,
an offer.
right?
No
No
house,
house.
just raw land.
Was it permitted to have a house? I mean, that's part of it, right? Were there lines already running to the house? Yes, you had to do all of that.
Yeah, we had. So I mean, it's intimidating. The fact to buy raw land and build. The thought of it's intimidating, but with most things, once you start investigating, it's not that hard. Like the steps aren't challenging. It's just getting to each step. And so, first step, we just had to buy the land, and then it was finding a builder. And then it was the builder taking us through the steps on, him pulling the permits. I had to call the water company. We had to run a water tap. Gas wasn't accessible up here yet, so we had to look into possibly having a big propane tank. So it was just like each step, as you made the one step, you knew how to do the next step. And so, here we are. So raw land became our home. There's a lot of things that were fly by the seat of our pants, a lot of things that knowing what we know now, we would have done different. The build was supposed to be 4 to 6 months. And with COVID and everything, it turned into a year.
Wow.
It was a long one. And then in the midst of that, my mom had a stroke. And if everything went smoothly, it would have been, 4 to 6 months, which was doable with our timeline.
Moving out here was challenging. Compare that to moving from California to Rock Hill.
That happened so quickly. I had been wanting to move for years. Well, since the day Scotty and I were married, I wanted out of California.
What was the reason why?
So my senior year of high school, I hit a low. I had decided that I was going to join the Air Force and then just tour the world, get out, get away from friends, family, the whole thing, and just kind of start over. I had an accident that derailed that whole thing, and then I met Scott. And so
And that derailed everything.
that derailed everything. Yeah. So that really derailed everything. So yeah. And then that happened real quick. Scotty and I met and then married within a year. Kind of fast forward, we were just dying in California, just struggling.
Expensive. You were living in, Orange County.
Beach.
Yeah. So it's just a very expensive place to live. Yeah.
Yeah. I had finally come to grips, succumbed to God's nudging. I'll just be content. Just, learn this contentment. So I finally entered in a season of contentment, and I came home from work, and Scott said, I called a real estate agent. And I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. And literally that night we were sitting at the table with a real estate agent. He was looking at our house. And within 60 days we were under contract. So the move, it was fast and furious. It wasn't scary for me, but it was heart-wrenching because we were leaving everyone we loved and knew.
A really deep root system.
Yeah, really deep root system. And my heart broke for my kids because it was really hard. It was really hard for our son.
Because of his age? Because it's an age thing, right?
Ties.
Probably.
Yeah, he was starting high school and water polo. And there was just a lot going on. And it's hard. Kids don't understand that, we're drowning in debt. You don't really understand that. And we really wanted a better life for all of us. So that was hard. That was really, really hard. We landed in our Motel 6 and we stayed in the Motel 6 for 5 weeks before we could move in our house. So we were in a hotel, the 5 of us, in a one-room hotel with our dog over Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
So, but we had to celebrate Christmas. So I landed up going to Hobby Lobby and getting a Christmas tree and decorating a Christmas tree. And we did the whole gifts. And then Christmas Day, it was just so funny. We kind of started some traditions. We went down to the river and had a great time, played with what they got for Christmas. And we went to the movies. Our meal Christmas was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And the kids said this was the best Christmas they'd ever had. They absolutely loved it. So that move was an adventure. Both moves were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
When I had met Scott, I was going to Bible studies on the beach. I didn't want to go to a church because I had been burned by the Catholic Church. And so I went from my church history was being an altar girl, the whole Catholic faith. And then I went to Scott's church, which was a Foursquare Pentecostal church. Mm-hmm. It was wild because we're standing toward the back. Thank God. But in front of us, there was this one lady just raising her hands and shaking and quaking, and then there was some tongue talkers over there. And I remember him holding my hand because I must have been wide-eyed because I did not know what was going on. It was the farthest thing from anything I had ever seen. The one thing, though, I will say is when I met Scott, I met his family. They weren't super excited over who I was. They were always kind and nothing bad. They never did anything mean or anything. But keep in mind, their prized child,
yes,
one of their the firstborn
in the kingdom.
Probably should have dated a preacher's daughter, someone that, was raised under the church and was pure and all of that. And instead he brings home this wreck. I was a train wreck before. Because there's no hiding it. I had just, So they knew I had just accepted the Lord. They knew I was young. I think that was a big concern.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest
thing. They knew my family background, that I wasn't saved. And so you can kind of connect the dots a little bit, always very, very sweet. But Fred really became my mentor, which I was grateful for because meeting Scott, and it probably wasn't until our second or third year of marriage, I kind of put Scott on this pedestal where he actually became my Jesus, if that makes sense. It was not fair to him, not fair to me. In my circle, I had never met anyone like Scott. I never met a guy that had saved himself for marriage. I had never met a guy that didn't drink or smoke or do drugs. I never met a guy that was as generous with his time or knew scripture or knew the Bible Like, I never met anyone like him in my life. And then I meet his family, and I didn't know that that was what a family was supposed to be like. I mean, I had gone into, like, I had friends whose parents were married and they had siblings, but theirs was a whole next level. Like, you went into their home and their home was a sanctuary. I mean, the Holy Spirit was welcomed into their home, and it was just something like I'd never seen before. You know, Margot was raised with faith-filled parents. Yes. Your grandparents were major faith-filled, but Fred's weren't. So Fred got me. And it's almost like as soon as I walked through the door and Fred had a sniff of who I was or my background, he really became my mentor. It was so good because Scott, like, I wanted to date Scott. I didn't want him to be my pastor. Like, I wanted him to be my boyfriend. And so then Fred, he really sat down and kind of connected some of the dots for me and kind of helped me prepare for what was to come as a believer. I didn't know what I was experiencing. I didn't care so much, but he also probably saw people like me who were a flash in the pan, right? And so he helped me to have that faith stick. So in the meantime, like, we had gone to his church and I began to trust Fred. So my faith in Fred and who he was really helped bridge some of the doubts I had with what I was seeing in church. So I started feeling more comfortable in church because of how Fred navigated it for me. Because of my past and even today, I don't believe a church is where people find God. I don't believe a church is where people's faith needs to be grounded in. A church is where believers come together in fellowship and they grow together in scripture, in knowledge and wisdom. And it's a place for them to socialize, to become closer to one another. It's almost like a family coming to a dinner table. That's like, you know, believers coming into a church.
So I don't know if I said that, but Fred is Scott's father and he's a preacher, and he was a preacher for many, many years, and he's going to be featured on our channel as well. So we're really excited about that. You have 3 kids. I don't know that I even went into a lot of these details with Scott, but you have 3 kids.
Yeah, I have 3 kids, Cheyenne, Brett, and Grace, and they're all real close in age. And moving out here, Cheyenne was real into volleyball. She was a great volleyball player. She was our athlete, so she and Scott really bonded over, you know, sports and stuff.
They had that in common, yeah.
Yeah, they really had that in common. And then Brett, he's our engineer. I mean, he's our smart one. I mean, they're all smart, but he's, from the time he was a little kid, do you remember those Bionicle toys? So it's like these toys, they come all apart and you open them up like a big old Lego set and you put them together. I mean, from the time that he was little, like his age was far below the age that was on the box. He would sit there and he would put one together in under 30 minutes. Like I wouldn't be able to put it together. And he just had that engineer brain and he could see things, and he was always my artsy one. So he took a lot after me, not smarts, but like he was really into like music and art. And then Gracie, she was a mama's girl. So the other 2 were very independent from me. And Gracie, she was the baby, and she tormented her older siblings a lot. She was the one, she got the most spankings. She was the one that was always in trouble, always disobedient, always defiant. But she was just such a mama's girl. It's no wonder that she was the first one to get married and be a mama and all of those
Did you
things.
see that was something that she wanted? Because all 3 of your kids have gone in much different
They've
directions.
all surprised me.
Yeah, much
oh my
different
gosh.
directions. Like,
yeah, they've all surprised me. Gracie really did surprise me.
Because she has 2 young kids.
She's got she's got our two grandbabies. She's a great mom, and so it's just really funny because her being always a mama's girl, always wanting to be close to me, always having that one-on-one relationship, it's no wonder she's a boy mom. Like she loves having that relationship with her boys.
So as a mom, this is stuff that, obviously I could never be a mom, but I was also never a parent, unfortunately. But what do you said that your kids surprised you. Did you, as they were growing up, did you have ideas of what they might become?
I didn't come from a two-parent home, and even like my past as a kid, I was thrown in situations where I was compromised, and I experienced a lot of things that nobody, much less a child, should experience. And so when I had kids, my biggest thing was, one, protecting them, but also providing a safe world around them and being open with them about my past and raising them up in a way where they had a good foundation on what a solid woman looks like and what a solid man looks like. So Scotty and I raised our kids, not just in church, because you can raise a lot of kids in church and not go well, but we tried to raise our kids like through scripture. We raised our girls, kind of one of the funny quotes was like, modest is hottest, right? Like modesty, but protecting yourself. But we also did it from a place of, not only do you need to protect yourself, but you need to honor other young men, out there where you don't draw attention. And then for Brett, we wanted him to be a man of God. We wanted him to be a man of integrity. We wanted him to know how to treat a woman. That was my big thing is I wanted our kids to know how to behave, to be ambassadors for Christ. I wanted to love my kids. I wanted to have a good, healthy relationship with my kids. I wanted to give my kids the healthy home life that I didn't. And I had to kind of learn through it. Now, Scott grew up under a fantastic roof, his parents being pastors, but even aside from being pastors, just having a wonderful marriage. And that spilled into their parenting.
60 years they've been married.
60 years, yeah. We just, I mean, that boggled my mind last night when we were talking to Fred Margot, like 60 years. Scotty and I just celebrated 30, and I think that's a crazy milestone.
You'll be able to hit it.
I'm like, 60. I mean, wow. It kind of made me excited. I'm like, oh, great, we have like another 30. But, so that's, how we raised our kids. And yeah, we had expectations. You asked, what was the big surprise, right?
Yeah.
You raise your kids, you've got them for 18 years and you're like, oh yeah, I can tell you everything that's going to happen. And nope. And we raised all of our kids to be extremely independent.
So what is your why? Why do you,
gosh.
what is your reason to get up every day and be Danielle? Do you think about that at all?
That is, oh my gosh, every time I do any endeavor or, start a job, they always want to know what your why is. You got to know your why.
Well, I don't mean to be
so
corporate.
It's a hard question for me. It always has. I've never been one who's had, like you say, what's your skill set or what are you passionate about? What do you love to do? What are your hobbies? I've never really been able to solidly answer that. Because it changes it almost changes as often as I change my underwear. But
which hopefully is every single day.
Yeah, daily, sometimes twice a day. So, you got to do what you got to do. I'm a very clean person. I get up because, I've got a job to do. Having Scott retire has been amazing.
It's almost like it gave you new purpose a little bit.
Oh, it gave me like a new husband. I guess that is, it's funny that you say that because you've probably helped me answer that question is, I have a purpose. When you become an empty nester, I would get up because I had kids. So my purpose was as a mom. Depending on what phase of life you're in, your purpose changes. And so I think for many years now, I have been waking up and not really knowing what my purpose is.
Does it feel like to you it's a return on the investment that Scott put into you guys in a lot of ways? Like
Yeah.
you're giving that investment back to him a little bit to take a
Yeah.
chance. And
So Scott is the hardest working man I know. It's always been one of the things that I have found most attractive about him. I always found him attractive putting on his uniform. He used to think his uniform was just hideous. He hated it.
Yeah.
But I always joke, I love a man in uniform. He's like, it's a FedEx costume. And I'm like, well, anyways. But he's the guy that will put in 60, sometimes 70 hours during peak season. He's the one that never called in sick, ever. He probably, in our marriage, he probably has called in sick over, I mean, we've been married 30 years. And I would say you could count him on both hands. Yeah, he's just always worked hard through heat and through snow and through rain and always provided, always put in, and we survived off of his overtime. So we couldn't have this life. I mean, when you look at where we live, this 10 acres, this house, this was all off of the sweat of his back. To put in as much time as he did, I mean, he worked at FedEx like 40 years almost. He deserves a break. His body couldn't take it anymore, and he's now doing the thing that he loves. He loves boats. I mean, he's such a boat nerd. I mean, boats are on our YouTube channel all the time. He's one of those in the sense like with how Brett was. This is something they have in common. Brett would obsess over something and Scott obsesses over boats. So it is very rewarding knowing that he can go out and do that. And then I get to do, something I love. And it's also afforded us time together. Yeah, we're thriving. I would say in our marriage right now.
I have a question about your previous purpose, raising children. Now, I know that people who have a purpose and maybe they build a business and maybe the business isn't successful, right? Mm-hmm. But the difference in that is the businesses will be whatever you put into it. Mm-hmm. You'll likely get the results based on the efforts that you put in. Mm-hmm. Whereas and I hope that other parents can relate to this, whereas with parenting, you have no control after they've left the nest. The efforts that you put in, you hope will pay off, but you don't know.
Right.
What is that like to not have that control over what your purpose is, the outcome of it?
Yeah. So I constantly have to remind myself that God gave us our children to raise, not to live their life for them.
That's beautiful.
And so I raised my kids for 18 years, and now I hope that I can support them, not so much influence them in their choices, but influence them on wisdom, on knowledge, on insight. But I'm now more of a supporting role. I always want to be that shelter. So now we're the lighthouse now for our kids. So when they need to come home, they know that they have a safe harbor here. But yet I'm not the captain of their ship anymore. Being a parent of adult children, it's definitely different. It's very rewarding because I'm proud of them. I'm proud of where they are. I'm proud of the decisions that they've made. Now, have I agreed with everything that they've done? No, but yet right now I'm working on holding my tongue, even though I'm going back and forth on how much should I say, how much should I didn't, how much should I respect, because I've got two that are married, and so now they have their own family.
A different dynamic. Yeah.
And they are one unit. And so maneuvering how to be an in-law and a mother to a husband and a wife that in essence are one being has been interesting. I've cried a lot for them. Their pain is still my pain. Sometimes I wish that they would need me more, but yet that's not how we raised them. We raised our kids' independence on doing things themselves, making decisions for themselves. So for 18 years, we reared them and did what we could on scripture and prayed. And I probably pray more now than I did even when they were little, because that's really my only control that I have. And so now it's just up to them on how they're going to thrive.
What do you do to get a break from the grind?
Oh, circling back, break from the grind. I like that. Okay, so break from the grind. I am an outdoor, like a nature person.
Okay.
So I love grounding is kind of the term. I never really knew it was a term until a couple of years ago, but I like going for hikes and walks. I love going to the mountains. I love going to the lake. I love going to the beach. I love feeling the wind in my face. Like, wind is one of my favorite all time. I know it sounds quirky. We kind of talked about it a little bit, I think yesterday, but I love wind. If there's wind, I'm outside and I'm letting it whip my hair around. And I love water. But I think that's also, that's my sanctuary. That's where I feel more present with God. I love creation. It's awesome to me. It just boggles my mind to look at. I definitely would say nature. I love going out in nature. That's the break from my grind.
Well, I love your story. You're sharing your story. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for taking the time. And of course, thank you for allowing us to be here. It's been such a pleasure to connect with the family. And gosh, we were laughing. We were having so much fun last night, laughing and enjoying each other's company. So it's amazing how you realize how much you need family.
Yeah.
So thank you for.
Yeah, no, we love having you, y'all. This is like your home away from home, I hope.
It definitely is. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Danielle's journey reveals what it truly means to build a life on a foundation of love, raising a beautiful family, and finding renewed purpose alongside the man she respects most. Her story is an inspiring reminder of the power of faith and a foundation built upon the value of family. As her cousin, I've had an unending admiration for the mother and the wife that she is. I am incredibly grateful just to know her and spend time with her, and even more thankful that she was willing to share her story with us. Until next time, thank you for watching.